All right, everyone. My name is Bhushan Sethi. I'm partner at PwC, amongst various other things which you can read about. I'm delighted to be here, standing between you and drinks. So this session's all about community. First of all, I'd like to thank Al Roker for warming you up. What a great man. He's actually on a plane right now. He's on a plane because he doesn't like to spend time away from his family. We actually live in the same neighborhood. I know I've never met him, but my daughter has trick-or-treated at his apartment, and he gave her candy. So communities are under siege. Communities have been fractured through COVID. Communities are where we eat, we play, we date. We sometimes work, if you think about return to work. Communities are so important. So we've got a fun-packed session, and the first thing I'm going to do is share some research that we've done based on what workers want. I'd like to cue the video.
I believe it's crucial that all employees come into a workspace where they feel that they are included.
I'm optimistic about the change in corporate culture.
Lo que me preocupa más es que los empleos no son bien pagados, que no son bien remunerados, no son muy reconocidos.
I'm definitely going to ask for a raise. I'm definitely going to ask for a promotion in the next 12 months. I don't know if they will give it to me.
Pienso pedir un aumento el próximo año porque siento que me lo he ganado. He permitido que el trabajo ocupe más tiempo en mi vida que mi vida personal o mi familia.
I feel like I'm more efficient and more effective by being myself and being empowered by my managers and my company.
So what do workers want? We're going to talk about that for the next 10, 12 minutes. We surveyed real people, 52,000 people, 44 different countries, 7 different industries, all income levels, on-site workers, remote workers, you name it. And by and large, they're telling us, first of all, the Great Resignation is still real. Here in the US, we have rising inflation. We have a slower growth. We have challenges, say, in the tech sector, but people are still looking to move. 1 in 5 people are likely to switch employers. That number trends higher for the youngest workers, Generation Z and millennials. Really important for firms to understand. The other thing, people want to get paid. 1/3 of the people want raises because of inflation, because of uncertainty, because of very strong talent markets. In the tech sector, that gets higher. In the public sector, that gets lower. But people want to get paid. The other factors, while pay is important, what's really important when we ask people, what would make you leave a potential employer? What they want is fulfillment in their job. People have reassessed their relationship with their work, with their employer, and they want to have fun. They want to have reduced friction. They want to have a boss that likes them. They want to have some level of autonomy. They also want to be their true self at work. This was mentioned in some of the panel discussions. This was mentioned in the breakout discussion on employee engagement. People want to be their authentic self. They don't want to have to code switch. They don't want to have to mask who they are. And these are the 2 biggest factors that will cause people to leave organizations. Pay is 3rd, and the last 2 are probably not surprising, to say, does my team and does my boss care about me? So that's fascinating that it's more than pay. What's also important, if you look at this list, is all of this discussion about return to the office, and I know you had a discussion with Jim at Gallup this morning, is ranked lower. People actually want fulfillment. They want to be their authentic self. They want fair pay above work schedule and work location. So we've kind of flipped this whole discussion on return to office. Terribly, but not surprising, to every female professional in here and every male is all of these numbers in terms of, do I feel empowered to ask for a raise? Do I feel satisfied in my role? Do I feel my manager listens and cares about me? They trend lower for women. What does that mean? That means everyone has to create inclusive environments. Every leader, male or women, needs to kind of understand and mind for that bias. And we need to, whether you're a female entering the workforce at 21 or someone in the workforce now, we've got to use this data and understand if this is really it, what do we need to do in organizations? How do we start making demands and lean in? But also, how do we encourage managers to look for this data in their own organizations? The other interesting factor is there's really a tale of two workforce segments right now. There's a set of workers right now across all industries that have specialist skills and are in scarcity. Think cybersecurity, think people who really understand data analytics, think people with trade skills. Those people have a lot of autonomy in their work. In every factor, those people are much more comfortable asking for raises, asking for promotions ahead of time, recommending their employer, feeling listened to by their managers, and feeling satisfied with their job, and actually not living paycheck to paycheck. We've got a whole set of other workers who feel the opposite of that. They don't feel that they belong, they don't feel they have opportunity, they don't have agency, and they're not getting the skills and the well-being. That is a real challenge for any business that runs global businesses or runs two tiers of workers that have kind of people on site and people who are living their best life, maybe knowledge workers who have all of these factors. Real challenge for organizations, a real challenge for leading in that environment. What else? What about young people? Surprising to us, young people are fearful of change. Younger people are fearful. Look at Generation Z. 38% of Generation Z are actually more fearful that their role will be impacted and replaced by technology than their other generations. They're also feeling that they're not getting the training from their employee. And so this is a real challenge, and maybe that's because of the pace of change, maybe because it's the loss of confidence for younger people, maybe it's because they're not getting the onboarding and the on-the-job training that they want to have in person in the apprenticeship model. Either way, we've got to think about bringing younger people from all communities into this discussion around the future of work because they are fearful and they are anxious. A topic that's very close to the heart of many people in this room. People are having discussions in the workplace on societal issues. They may be about guns and safety in schools here in the US. They may be about how we deal with indigenous communities in New Zealand and Australia. They could be about the terrible war in Ukraine and what that means for refugees in Europe. It could be about abortion. There's a myriad of factors. What our data told us is independent of firms taking positions on those same topics, 2/3 of people in organizations are having discussions on these topics. That number trends higher for ethnic minorities and younger populations. Now, by and large, those people having those discussions see benefits. They see benefits that they learn more about their colleagues. They learn more about the lived experience. They potentially change their own perspectives. This isn't about debates. This isn't about creating more polarization in society. Lord knows we don't need that, and organizations are just a microcosm of society. But people are having a positive kind of impact. So what organizations have to do is understand this, understand if these conversations are happening and people want a voice and they want to bring their authentic self and they want to listen and learn with respect and tolerance, organizations have to create that safe space, or they're going to have negative consequences, or they're not going to be able to bring their full self to work, and you'll see productivity dip and you'll see morale dip and also the reputational challenges. Not everyone agrees with this. Maybe most people in this room would agree with this. Many people outside of this room think there is no place for these discussions in workplaces, whether that's over a Zoom call, whether that's on the factory floor, whether that's in a cafeteria. But this is important for every organization to say, what do we want to do? Do we want to naturally let it happen? Or do we want to create safe spaces? Do we want to train leaders on how to engage and listen to people? And again, it's not about conversion. It's not about you seeing my point of view. It's about being your authentic self. The other factors that are happening is transparency is desired as a currency for trust by many parts of your workforce. Over 50% want more transparency from their company, whether it's about what they're doing around the environment, the ability to provide safe jobs, both mentally and physical safe environments, DEI and representation data, and also what is your organization doing for the economy, for the local economy? Are you creating good, sustainable jobs? Are you increasing the employability of community members? If your job gets digitized, to what extent can those people find other employment in the community or through remote jobs? So whether we like it or not, and you hear a lot about greenwashing, and ESG has got a really bad rap over the last week, organizations need to stand up and understand their workers, who for many organizations are also consumers, want more transparency. Finally, no discussion on this topic. We can't leave out the topic of returning to the office. For me, this is a terribly divisive topic. 4 weeks into the pandemic, we started talking to many different businesses about returning to the office. We spoke to many of our friends in the media. 2.5 years on, we're still having very much the same conversation. The headlines are, hybrid is here to stay. 2/3 of the people we polled think they'll be working in some form of hybrid, and again, that means some days in the office, some days out. We've got to remember that there's a bunch of people in this survey, 45%, that cannot work remote. They don't get to share in the digital revolution. And that number is actually higher in the US, it's actually 54%. So organizations that have 2 tiers of workers, think manufacturing people and control functions, those manufacturing people, we need to say, to what extent can we actually digitize some of those jobs and bring those people along to upskill them so that they can actually take part in the digital economy and give some of those workers more flexibility to work in a hybrid way if hybrid work is our future. So really understanding the empathy for those who cannot work from home, because this debate has been so polarized for the small percentage of people that are privileged to work from home, maybe many people are in this room. But we've also got to understand is that hybrid work is a real challenge for organizations. We have never done this before. We have no playbook. This is about changing leadership behaviors. This is about leaders being much more inclusive. It's about having the governance processes in place so that people do not get promoted, progress, or better paid because they spend more time in the office with their boss. So really important to kind of get hybrid right. So what does this all mean for organizations? For those of you who run businesses, run teams, etc., and are part of large organizations, you should be looking at this data to say, what do our workers want? Do our workers feel, who are the people that feel incredibly empowered in our organization and are living their best lives? And who have we left behind? And how do we create more equity and opportunity? To what extent are these social conversations happening? Do we have disparities between genders in terms of opportunity? Where are we on transparency? Every one of these data points can be mined for your own organizations. For those who are advisors, activists, funders in the room, influencers, you should also be calling this out in terms of organizations and communities. So that's the data set that we wanted to share. This is all available in a report. But bringing this back to community, this is why it's really important, because whether we go back to the office 1 day a week or 5 days a week, we're still going to congregate in communities. We're still going to go to the shopping mall. We're going to go into the restaurants. We're going to take public transport. Building that empathy with many people from different forms of life is incredibly important in the workplace and our community. So so I'm going to segue now. We've got a great set of panelists and a great set of discussions. But before we go there, I'm going to invite Olivia back to the stage, who's going to recognize some of the great work that has been done by members here. So Olivia, over to you.